Remember the 70s and 80s? You absolutely remember their house brand, Realistic. For a couple of decades, Realistic was everywhere, offering affordable, decent quality audio gear to the masses. But what really was Realistic? Who made their stuff? And was it actually any good? Let's dive into the story of one of the most successful private label brands of all time. It all starts with Radio Shack, founded way back in 1921 by two brothers in Boston. They catered to the original electronics hobbyists, ham radio operators. Fast forward to the early 60s, and the company was struggling. That's when a man named Charles D. Tandy stepped in. Acquiring the company in 1963, Tandy had a brilliant vision. He shifted the focus to small neighborhood stores packed with electronic components and, crucially, private label brands. This strategy cut out the middleman and allowed Radio Shack to grow into a retail giant. One of their most important private label brands was Realistic. The name itself was actually a backup plan. They first tried to use Realist in 1955, but ran into a trademark issue. So, Realistic it was. This brand name was slapped on everything: stereo receivers, turntables, speakers, CB radios, walkie-talkies. Now, here's the secret sauce. Radio Shack didn't actually manufacture any of this equipment. They weren't building factories. Production to various manufacturers, mostly in Japan and Singapore. This allowed them to control the features, the look, and most importantly, the price. And who were these mystery manufacturers? Well, they were often very well-regarded companies. Big names like Hitachi, Sanyo, and Fostex all built gear for Realistic. Even the legendary Trio Kenwood produced some of their higher-end components. So, while the name on the front said Realistic, the engineering inside often came from some of the best in the business. This led to a strange perception of the brand. Serious high-end audiophiles often dismissed Realistic gear as cheap junk, sometimes calling it Nagasaki hardware. Some of their lower-end stuff was just okay, but that's not the whole story. Hidden within their massive catalog were some absolute gems. Take their Sta series of stereo receivers. The higher wattage models, like the Monster STA-2100, were built like tanks and sounded fantastic. Today, these are considered sleeper classics in the vintage audio world. Collectors hunt them down because they deliver incredible performance that rivals the big-name brands from that era. Another standout was the LAB-400 turntable, a solid, reliable direct drive unit that still fetches good money. And who could forget their other hits? During the CB radio craze of the 70s, Realistic's TRC series completely dominated the market. Their Mach line of speakers were also incredibly popular, known for their distinct, powerful sound. And then there was the Fliver Radio. This cheap, colorful, ham-only transistor radio was an icon. It ran for almost 30 years, from 1972 all the way to 2000. And practically everyone had one at some point. So what happened to this powerhouse brand? By the mid-1990s, the retail landscape was changing. The Tandy Corporation decided to shift its strategy away from private labels. They wanted their stores to carry the major name brands that customers were asking for, like RCA and Sony. The Realistic name started to be phased out. Some of the audio lines were briefly renamed to Optimus, but that didn't last long either. By the year 2000, the Realistic brand was officially retired, marking the end of an era. Today, Realistic represents a fascinating chapter in audio history. It was a brand that made electronics accessible to everyone, from the casual listener to the dedicated hobbyist. And while some of it might have been average, the best of Realistic could stand toe-to-toe with anything on the market. So next time you see a silver-faced Realistic receiver at a garage sale, don't just walk by. You might be looking at a true vintage audio treasure in disguise. What are your memories of Realistic gear? Did you have a favorite receiver Or a pair of Mach 1 speakers? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into vintage tech. See you next time.